This is the Jordan brand Zion 2, and as the name implies, is the follow-up to the Jordan brand Zion 1, the debut shoe of Zion Williamson. In terms of pricing, the shoe comes in at $120, which matches the Zion 1. On this particular colorway, the Voodoo colorway, is actually coming at $140. Now, you may be asking yourself, what are you getting for that $20 premium? And the quick answer is 3 pairs of laces, so in all 4 pairs of laces. You also have some synthetic leathers on the upper, a canvas material on the upper, a really cool storytelling aesthetic in terms of the shoe and voodoo and how it ties back to New Orleans where Zion plays. In terms of the storytelling elements, the voodoo storytelling element is super heavy on this particular colorway. You have basically the voodoo religion, which is obviously popular in New Orleans where Zion plays for the Pelicans. It's everywhere. The retail box, the strap that keeps the box shut, the tissue paper inside and all over the shoe. On the heel cup area, you have the voodoo doll head, stitchings all over the shoe, presumably to resemble a voodoo doll, a hair-like padded tongue, assuming again to represent the hair on a voodoo doll. Overall, there is a big emphasis on giving the appearance that this is a handmade shoe, similar to what a voodoo doll would be, handmade, and, you know, again, lending to that aesthetic. In terms of the design, I will say that the design of the Zion 1 wasn't my cup of tea. To be honest, it looked a little bit on the cheaper side in terms of the material and just the overall look of the shoe. It didn't look like the premiere or the debut shoe of, you know, a generational talent. When the Zoom Generation 1 came out, or the Air Zoom generation for LeBron, that was his debut shoe, and that shoe was just a great looking shoe, drawing inspiration from a lot of things that were important to LeBron at that time. But the Zion 1 just wasn't hitting it for me. Now, in terms of, you know, the tech that it was, you know, it had decent tech, but in terms of the design, it was a bit bland for my taste. The Zion 2 is drawing a lot of inspiration from many places. You know, something that I noticed right off the bat is the looking from the top down, the toe box looks like a Jordan 3. And maybe that's just me, maybe it's a stretch, but that's something I noticed. It looks and resembles the Jordan 3 toe box. You also have that ankle cushioning on the ankle, obviously, resembling the Jordan 6, but overall, the strap on the forefoot reminds me of the Jordan 312, which was that special collaboration with Don C, I think it was. But overall, this is a different design. I actually like this design much more than I did with the Zion 1. It does look a bit more premium. It does look more fleshed out. I feel like, again, the Zion 1 was just really bland for my taste. And I never picked up a pair just because I never wanted to actually wear them. I wasn't really compelled to do it. With the Zion 2, immediately from seeing the Voodoo colorway and all the colorways that I've seen so far, I've actually been very impressed with. But this one in particular, I really want to get in hand and see what it would look like in hand and just look at the materials, and overall, I've been impressed so far. Materials on the Zion 2 are, I wouldn't say obviously top notch, again, coming at a $120 price point, and then for this particular model, the $140 price point, I would look to make sure I didn't have like the premium branding or anything like that, or PRM. This one just says Zion 2 for the Voodoo colorway, and again, a $20 price hike for it. But again, you get some synthetic uppers, some synthetic suedes, I'm assuming. You got the canvas upper, that hairy padded tongue. I'm not really sure. I mean, again, it's supposed to resemble a voodoo doll. It's a bit weird. But overall, I think that the materials were well done for this particular colorway overall. From what I've seen on the other colorways, they're using synthetic leathers. But again, they did a really good job on designing the shoe and the materials that they used. When it comes to the cushioning, what the Zion lacked in materials, it more than made up for it in terms of cushioning. That whole setup was beautiful. It had a full-length air strobel unit along with a zoom unit in the forefoot. So again, double stacked forefoot air. Again, it's impressive. I never tried them, so I can't say if they were great or not, but from the reviews I've read and saw, they performed really well. On the Zion 2, you have a air strobel unit in the heel, apparently a larger unit according to Nike, and then you have a larger air zoom strobel unit in the forefoot, which should make this a very comfortable shoe. In my limited time with the shoe, you know, stepping into them and really being able to feel that zoom. Like you can really feel the zoom in the forefoot, and you can really feel that air unit in the heel. It made me really excited to play in the shoe, and really reminded me, or I guess you could say in drawing comparisons, it reminded me of the LeBron series. Just that bouncy zoom that LeBron likes to play in, and apparently Zion does as well. When it comes to the fit of the shoe, I decided to go a half size up. One reason is because it was available, and generally 12.5 is not available anywhere. And something I've noticed in Jordan brand signature shoes is that they tend to run a bit narrow, and they tend to run about a bit smaller. So something I've noticed is that if I ever go true to size, they're just very uncomfortable, specifically like the Westbrook series. They're just a little bit too snug, a little bit too short. So getting that 12.5 really does fit my foot perfectly. On the Zion 2, it's, feels like a one-to-one fit. And even with that strap, generally shoes with straps are just not a good thing for me. They just don't work. Not that they don't work, they just don't fit very well. I can't actually strap them because I have a high arch in my foot, so it keeps any straps on any shoes, if I go true to size, from actually working or being able to be strapped. On the Zion 2, getting them on my foot, along, you have those little Achilles tendon pillows in the heel cup area. The strap worked really well. If I had one criticism, is the tongue was a bit clunky. It was a little bit on the wide side. It was plush. I will give it that, but I will say that it wasn't a good looking shoe in terms of like tying it up, and that tongue was just really clunky. So I could have done without that special padding or special material in the tongue overall. In terms of fit, again, if you are wondering what you should get, I would recommend going true to size if you have normal shaped foot. If you have a wide foot or high arches or both, like I do, I would recommend going a half size up so that that shoe fits you perfectly. I tied them up. They were tied really tight. Foot felt locked down, and it made me really excited to play in them. When it comes to the traction on the Zion 2, there's nothing special or crazy with this particular shoe. It looks like regular traction. You got not quite herringbone, maybe herringbone on the heel. You have the Zion logo kind of built into the traction of the shoe, and then the Jordan brand logo worked into the heel area. But it doesn't look like it's not going to perform. It doesn't look like it's going to be the greatest performer, but I don't think it's going to have any issue on the courts, wood, or on asphalt, or out street courts basically. A couple odds and ends I noticed. One thing I really did notice is quality control. So I will say that the shoe seems to be manufactured pretty well. One thing I did notice though is there was a little bit of a glue mark on the toe box area. I couldn't get it out. I think it is what it is. It doesn't affect the shoe, and again, at $120, or in this case $140, that's not a big deal. It's not affecting the performance of the shoe, but it was something that I noticed. Some of the elements I noticed on the shoe as well was the branding on the shoe. So on the medial side of the shoe, you have a Nike logo, which was a bit different. It was just different. It was something I didn't expect to see. But I guess you could say that it's, drawing on technologies that are Nike branded technologies used on Jordan brand shoes. Jordan brand obviously being a subsidiary of Nike, but the Nike branding on the medial side heel area was something different. You have a Jordan brand logo on there as well. But again, obviously the heritage is there, and maybe that was the point, was to draw on the heritage of Nike brand and Jordan brand being more or less the same company. So on the medial side, midsole area, you have a long acronym, and I'm reluctant to call it an acronym because I don't think it really stands for anything. It's just really shortening what is being called Zion Williamson's ethos. So what it actually means is nobody built like you design yourself. And on the acronym it says NBLYYDY. So again, that's, I guess, the words or ethos that Zion Williamson lives with or lives by. You also have Shock the World on the toe box of the shoe, and that's actually debossed on the toe box. And then on the heel area, you have embossed Let's Dance. So, a couple little messages along the shoe. Something that I always like to look for is what things mean. On LeBron's shoes, he always has a call out to his family. you know, Bronny, Bryce, and Zuri, and then his wife Savannah. Always has call outs to Cleveland, the area code, and things like that. So those are always fun. Those little Easter eggs around the shoe are always fun for me to find and decipher and try and, you know, draw a meaning of it. One last thing I did notice is little X's etched or stitched into the midfoot area on both sides of each shoe. So those things I always assume they're intentional. Kind of like on the Jordan 14, you have 7 Jumpman logos embossed or branded on each shoe, totaling 14 total Jumpman logos, which would then resemble or correlate to the Jordan 14 overall. On this particular Zion 2, there's 33 X's etched or stitched on each side of the shoe. In total on each shoe is 66 total stitches, and then in total is 132 for both shoes. And I tried looking up the meaning of, you know, 33, 66, and 132, and it doesn't mean anything. So it just led me on a wild goose chase and didn't actually get anything from it. If I'm missing something, you know, leave a comment and just let me know what it is. But that's something I did see on the shoe, and I was wondering if it meant something, and in reality it did not. So to close this one out, overall, I'm really excited for this shoe, to play in it. That cushioning is something that I really did feel in the heel and in the forefoot. I'm really excited to get it on the court, see how they perform. I'm really hoping for good things for this shoe, especially with how the fit is. Again, it's like a really close 1-to-1 fit for me, with the strap and tying those laces really tight. You have the little Achilles tendon pillows on the ankle area that really should help to, you know, provide really good cushioning. And at the price point of $120 or $140, I think this makes this shoe a solid shoe to buy for anybody. And, you know, eventually or inevitably, some of these colorways will go on the clearance rack on Nike and go on sale. So, you know, if they go on sale, generally they probably will drop down to about $80 or $90, which makes them an even better buy. Like at that point, you have to get a couple pairs, because I'm assuming they're going to be a great performer. But either way, if there's something I missed or something you want to know about the shoe, please leave a comment. If you liked the video, like it. If you didn't like it, dislike it. But if you really liked it, hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much for watching. You guys have a good day.